Guys, what's up? I really enjoyed this conversation with Ellen. It was a getting to know you conversation. It's funny how I didn't know that she was Caribbean, and that kind of like sneaked in there. When I heard her voice, even when we were doing the consultation, I didn't hear it in her voice, but I didn't hear her accent, her Caribbean twang until I talked to her in this interview. So that was a pleasant surprise. Also drawn to her entrepreneurship and her determination. Coming into this country isn't easy, but needless to say, her determination and her focus and her drive is an inspiration. And I wasn't expecting that at all. Was that, you never know what you expect when you talk to people, but I did not expect for her to inspire me the way she did. So this has been a busy month for me. There were 2 presentations that I did. One was with AIADC's Emerging Architects Committee, and I have another one that talks about Clotilde Woodard Smith and how I grew up in her building. At the time of this recording, I am still working out the kinks of the presentation, and I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about, and I get to dive deep into what I originally wanted to do. So it was a perfect storm for that to happen. So I'll let you guys know what transpired. So short and sweet. I want to get to the interview. I'll say no more than 40 minutes total for this. So short and sweet, just like how she is. I don't know if she's short or not. I never met her in person, but definitely a sweetheart. So here you go. Ellen, how you doing?
I'm doing well on this Valentine's Day. How are you?
No, you're my love. You're
my love too. You're like the first person I'm speaking to today. So
Aww,
blessed and highly favored girl.
Oh. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me. I actually was wanting to talk to you for a long time.
Oh.
To be quite honest, but I don't know why I waited till now. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I was like, I need to talk to her. Because I love your product. Like, I love your product. And I can't wait to find out the story behind it. I think that's why I want to talk to you. Because it's like, you have a story. And I want people to hear your story. So
thank you. Hopefully I can articulate it this early Sunday morning.
You do great. So on that note, I met you on Instagram. I don't know. We never met before, correct?
We've never met before. I don't know who slid in whose DMs though. Was it you? Was it me?
I can't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah. It was a nice interaction.
Yeah. And I was like, I need these pens. I need these pens in my life. And, just in general, what you post. And, I was like, I got to follow. So
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you. At that point, I had not listened to an architecture-focused podcast. I had this naive notion that they might be boring or just something I wouldn't be interested in. Naively, don't come for me in the comments. But I started to listen to, your interviewees and the way you were handling yourself and your topics. And I was intrigued and I really wanted to work with you. So thank you for sliding in my DMs, girl.
No problem. It's part of the Valentine's Day. I got you today.
Yes. Yeah. Sending the love. I receive it.
So are you a true New Yorker?
This is my work voice.
Oh, okay.
I'm from the Commonwealth of Dominica. I do have a different accent, though. If my mother calls right now, it'll just pop up. So I'm from the Caribbean, and I came here to go to school, and I just stayed.
How old were you when you came up here?
Do I need to share my age?
No. I mean, was it college? You came up here for college?
I came up here for college. So we call it university. I did college back home. So I did building engineering in Dominica back home for 2 years. Top of my class got a scholarship that helped me to partially pay for school here. So the scholarship was awesome, but then it wasn't enough to pay for school. So coming here, I had to figure out the culture, how to support myself, how to eat, how to enter school. It was a whole culture shock for sure to adjust.
What was the hardest thing to adjust?
The cold. I think so. I'm from the Caribbean. I love the heat. I love the breeze, the sea breeze. And then my first winter, I would say probably my first 5 winters, I came in 2003, was really hard on me, hard on my body. I didn't know how to dress for it. No one taught me about wool socks. I don't know. I just was very naive coming here with 2 suitcases, wanting to be an architect. That sounds kind of weird when I say it now. But yeah, that was the hardest part, the weather and also the culture. Like Black culture here is very different than Black culture in the Caribbean. Also, again, maybe this was my naivety, but I wasn't exposed to many of the disadvantages that Black persons face here or discrimination as well. So coming here and finding out that I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that or I wasn't accepted or I couldn't get this apartment, there was just so many layers of, I don't know. It was really weird my first 5 years. I had to learn really quickly how to survive. But New York's been great. I still love the city. Still here.
Did you find your Caribbean brethren when you came here? Like, was that the first thing you just, where's my people?
I think I had to. I mean, I found it in school for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Queensborough College, that's in Queens, and I found Caribbean people there, other Dominicans who had migrated here as well. And then living in Brooklyn and then Queens, it's a large Caribbean population. And so you're able to like eat the foods that you grew up in, speaking the French Creole sometimes, have those same jokes. So yeah, I found my brethren also through church, hopping around to Black churches. I started to find people who had really similar backgrounds of mine and also trajectories and goals. And so that helped me to be more confident in my move to the US. Definitely.
Why architecture?
Why not? Why architecture? So growing up, I wanted to be an artist. So my parents were fortunate enough to put me through art school and music school for a few years. And through art, I was able to express myself. I'm an only child, so I typically didn't have many to talk to except for my cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And so through art, I was able to express myself. And I said to my parents before 10 years old that I wanted to be an artist. And I don't think they thought that was a viable career. I mean, our Black parents typically want us to be something like a lawyer or a
Doctor,
engineer or a doctor, something where they know you'll be okay, right, with that salary. And my dad, he credits himself to me wanting to be an architect, which I don't know if that's true, but let's just give him some credit here. He started to take me on construction sites, and particularly of our home. So he would take me to see how the foundation was built, how the walls went up. He would take me on the roof to walk it as well with him, show me drawings of the guys who were on site, etc. And he instilled in me that, oh, you could do this. Eventually, I was like, I could do this. And at 10, I made the decision that I wanted to be an architect. I didn't see other women in Dominica at the time who were architects, but I guess it didn't occur to me that I couldn't be one.
Why'd you pick the US? Like, you could have went to London or like.
Yeah. I could have gone to London. That was on my list. I could have gone to Cuba. Cuba has a great architecture school as well. But I guess the US to me seemed more accessible. Also, I've been to New York before I think as a 3-year-old, and the photos that I saw were really inspiring. I wanted to go to a school that could expose me to global architecture. And so I thought New York was a great melting pot for that. Besides, there's lots of Caribbean people here. I thought, okay, New York City.
It's not too far from home either. I mean, Cuba would have been closer, but
Cuba would have been closer. When I think about it, it was kind of a leap of faith actually to decide as an older teenager that, oh, I'm gonna come here on my own. I'm not forgetful of the dangers that I put myself in doing that. But at the same time, I feel like if you have a goal and you want to be that, then, bet on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
How was architecture school for you?
It was great, but it was rough. So I went to the Bernard and Ann Spitzer School of Architecture. That's in City College in New York City. I did a 5-year BArch. For those of you who don't know, that's a professional degree. It comes with a a beautiful thesis year at the end. It was great because it opened my mind to different ways of thinking, right? Like first year and second year was hell, learning about these theoretical things of space and time and threshold, and it was just crazy. But then it started to click after a while when we started building things and sketching out our ideas and then moving into computer design and building models and stuff like that, and then going to sites. So that was really fun for me, and making friends during that time was really fun for me because there were a lot of immigrants as well at City College who were doing the same things as myself, working full time during school, going to school full time. That in itself is tough. Having a part-time job on top of that, renting a room, trying to learn the culture as well. So I had classmates who were the same trajectory as myself. It was rough because as a young woman on my own, trying to afford all of the materials for studio, and I feel like people who have never taken an architecture degree have no idea what studio is. So let's just break it down a little bit. Studio is this, how many credits was it? Like 6 or 8 credits?
It was large because it took half the day. It was like a 4-hour.
Yes, half the day. And then you have to spend half the night or most of the night prepping for it, or a few days. But the materials for me in particular were very expensive, like the wood. What else did we use? We used wood a lot.
Like
Also,
chipboard and
board,
markers, and not
foam
Crayola
core.
marker. No, it had to be the Prism color,
Yes.
all types of mediums, and
Yeah,
then when you print, you have to pay for printing. You had to pay for,
you do.
it's
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 a lot. If
a
you're
lot.
if you don't have like parental or family support and you're here on your own, it was a lot. So I definitely had to work outside of my school time in order to afford all of these. So that for me was the hardest. But other than that, I don't regret architecture school at all.
So you finally graduated. What was your first job?
My first official job was as a store designer for Dwayne Weed and Walgreens, actually,
Oh.
which I didn't expect, but it was actually pretty fun. So I got to work on many stores across the country, many of their high profile stores as well, crafting the retail strategy with the team, but also doing the actual drawings, working with architects and our contractors, going to site, evaluating work, also evaluating merchandise strategies as well. So I did that for about 4 years actually, and almost moved to Chicago. They offered me to move to the Walgreens HQ area in Chicago. And then I took my job at AECOM and I stayed in New York City.
What was that decision? Like, was it the money? What was it? Was it a boy? Like, what was it?
Oh my God, boys. Oh Lord. Let's table the boys. But it was not the money. I would have made more money if I had taken the new job and moved to Chicago. It was because I had a really good trajectory in store design for a well-known pharmaceutical company. Like everyone knows Walgreens, right? But I really wanted to learn about different types of architecture. So with Walgreens, it's primarily retail, and there are other offshoots of that, like office design, wholesale design, etc. But I wanted to work for a company where I could learn about different typologies. And so AECOM, being one of the largest firms in the world, is highly diverse in their architecture and engineering and design strategies. And so I applied. And when I got interviewed and I got the job, I said to my boss at Walgreens, I'm sorry, but I can't take it. I had already taken they give you a few thousand for you to help you move. I'd already accepted that in my bank account. So I was on my way out. Then I got the call about, taking the job at AECOM, and then I had to retract at that point. So it was a pivot so that I could learn more about the craft of architecture
It was
at
a
that point.
career strategy move you made.
It definitely was. The money, I don't know. Money is good, but I really wanted to learn and be good at what I do. So, yeah.
So where are you at now?
So I'm at Skidmore, Owings Merrill now. I'm New York based still, but we work on projects all over the world. So it really doesn't matter where you are based, really. So that's where I am right now. And I've been fortunate. My leaders have enabled me to not only be on the technical side of architecture, but also part of the management team too. So right now I'm on the management team of a really large airport that we're doing in Kansas City, and also leading out in our social equity lab or equity design lab.
What does that entail?
So I guess I'll give a little history or a little context about it. So during the 2020, like the spring and summer, many of my Black and Brown colleagues, we were really fatigued. We're hyper vigilant and hyper aware of all the injustices that happen in our community, right? Like offline, we're all in these groups where we share videos, we share alerts, hey, this happened, etc. I feel like other cultures may not be aware of that we do in the Black community. And so when Mr. Floyd passed away, although it was a catalyst for other people or more people to be aware of what happens in America to Black and Brown persons, particularly Black, we were already aware. And so we wanted our colleagues and our leaders to understand the mental fatigue and sadness that we were going through while still having to perform at a really high level at our jobs at home during the pandemic. That was really eye-opening and heart-wrenching to do. We wrote a letter that we recited at a global town hall to let our colleagues know that we were hurting. And from that, it spun into months and months of working with a leadership committee called TED, TEDD. It's the Talent Acquisition, Diversity, and Development Committee. It comprises of partners and directors and HR. And long story short, SOM did release a 34 equity action plan, and it spun out of all of these discussions and negotiating and thinking about the future, thinking about how we could make not only our culture within SOM better, but our industry as well. And so you can check the website, som.com, and look at our 34 action plan in detail. And one of those points was to focus on high impact projects. And so you're building upon such a great legacy of the firm, of design excellence, of the diversification of projects. We pitched to the partners to create the Equity Design Lab, where we would focus primarily on making sure that those particular projects and other projects within the firm, as we liaise with like practice leaders, that would focus on equity and different levels of it too. Because sometimes you can use the word equity as this brand name or a call to action that's really vacuous. With us, though, we have been looking at the layers of it. So at first, in the front of people's mind, it's always social equity, but there's also environmental equity. We know of examples where good design, quote unquote, does have negative effects on Black and Brown communities' health, or even focusing on projects that promote economical equity, right? Like whatever you do also enables the community to benefit from it 5 to 10 to 20 years in the future because you've brought vehicles for their economic growth. So that's particularly what the lab will do over the next few years. And I'm grateful that they approved it, the partners, and I'm grateful to my colleagues who are part of this, leading this effort within the firm.
It sounds exciting. I'm glad you're part of something that's so innovative.
Yeah. So it is exciting. It's definitely a learning curve, and I'm really excited to be a part of it and to contribute to the future of the firm.
We talked a little bit prior about NOMA, and
Yeah.
you didn't know about it in school. How did you
No.
find out about it?
I wish I had known about it in school because it has been such a great community for me. But at the time, City College did not have a NOMA's chapter, a student chapter. They do now. And I talk to them now, and which is awesome. I found out about NOMA on a whim. I would go to the AIA, different, various committee meetings and stuff like that. And I believe someone said to me, well, how about a NOMA meeting? I can't remember who that angel was, but someone said to me, how about a NOMA meeting? And I happened to just stumble upon it, really. And that's how I learned about this community. But I will say this, I don't know her name, but she was an older architect. I remember she had white gray hair. I was at a convention. I want to say it was 2019. And she said to me, "This is your tribe." I'll never forget it. She said, "This is your tribe as you go through your architectural career." And she was saying to me that this is your support system. These are people who will understand your trajectory, will help you, will recommend you. You want advice? We're all family. And I had never felt that type of warmth in a professional setting ever. Right? Architecture to me is always very competitive and who gets this talk and who's being seen on social media or who did this design. And this lady was saying to me, this is not what this community is about. We're uplifting each other, we're here for each other, and we're going to increase our numbers together. That never left me. And I tell every new person I see about that. And I wish I knew who she was. I wish I knew.
It's definitely a community. Like I grew up with NOMA, like
You
literally
did?
like high school. I grew up with NOMA, and
Wow.
I don't know anything else, and I take that for granted too.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of it's your family, it's like your
It's
aunt,
your
your uncle.
family.
Like it's just
Yes. It's
just.
so weird to me, but I love it.
Mhm.
So I serve on the New York board for NYCOBA. So I do finance management as the treasurer there. I love serving. I served on the planning committee for the conference before that in Brooklyn. It has been such a delight, actually. And actually, at the conference in Brooklyn at NOMA, that was actually the start of Architect Pins that many people don't know about,
Oh,
actually.
let's dive into that. Like, how did Architect Pins come about? You say it happened in at NOMA? What's the story?
It happened at NOMA, but I guess prior to that was I went to the AIA convention, national convention in Las Vegas. Pascal Sabla, she had an exhibition, for Beyond the Build, showcasing Black designers, and I was one of them. I wanted to go, couldn't afford to go, so I applied to be a volunteer, where you could get like a reduced like convention ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And while working with the AIA staff, they would have their lanyards filled with these large buttons that had sketches of architecture, like prolific architecture of Las Vegas or Nevada. They would have slogans. They would have AIA logos or like AIA phrase words, etc. It became like a little competition to collect all of them. But it was also an icebreaker of, oh, where did you get this? Oh, where did you go to school? It was for someone like me who I feel like I'm an extrovert, but I can be really shy as well. It enabled me to meet other young architects, all because I had a ton of buttons hanging off my neck and people would just ask me questions about it. And so it dawned on me during that AIA convention that this was a way to share our design identities. For someone like me, it was an icebreaker to have a conversation. So fast forward to that, I had that idea, but fast forward to that, being at the NOMA conference, I ordered the Black Architect pin. So the ones you see on the site, the black and gold,
Mm-hmm.
and the Black Architect one that has the Black liberation colors.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered those. It came the day before the first day of the conference that I had to speak on that day as well. So I had no time to sort of, present it well, like on a backing card or anything like that. It was straight out of the FedEx box into my bag, took the train, went to the conference. And after I spoke in the morning, I pulled it out of my bag and I said, "Hey guys," there were a group of young women around me from all over the US. We were talking. I said, "Hey guys, what do you think about this?" It was the Black Architect pin, the black and gold, in its original manufacturer packaging, mind you. And I remember they were like, "Ellen, what is this? This is so awesome. Like, how much is it? Can I have one? Where can I buy it?" Like, they were just bombarding me with all of these questions that I hadn't had the time to think about because I just got the package.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I sold quite a few of them out of my bag and then eventually on the NYCOBA table for $10. And then some of the older architects would see the pins on others and ask where they got it from, and then would lecture me nicely though, not in a bad way. You know how it is. It's family.
Right,
They
right.
lectured me on the value of what I was providing, which was it was so great for me because I remember one architect said to me, "Do you know the value of what you're creating here?" And I said, "I think I do." I had this,
Mm-hmm.
this answer. I can't remember right now. And then she said to me, "No, you're providing another way to have a voice." And
Wow.
so from that, I know it's like it's like all of these little gems
Mm-hmm.
that's why I just can't leave Noma. It's just
Yeah.
so it just can't. And that was actually the birth. I had to go back after the end of the conference and ask myself, okay, Elle, you want to do this? Let's go. People are receptive to the Black architect pins. And then I started to make the Architectura pin, Architecta pin, the design protest pin, the justice pin. I have so many ideas that I cannot fund yet, but they're coming. They're
So
coming.
when you announced that you make custom pens, I was like, what? I wanted a pen for a long time for
Oh,
podcasts. Like the whole point of the logo was so that it could become a pen. Like
no way.
that was my idea. And so I went online and I saw some pens and stuff, and I was like, I don't know if I want to support these giant companies, right?
Yeah.
Like they're huge. Making pens, like there's no love, there's no care or anything. And
Yeah.
so when I
Yeah.
saw yours and the opportunity to, do a custom one, I was like, I need to talk to you. I need this pen in my life. Like, and
That
then
is so cool.
from a customer point of view, you were just so like you was like, okay, we'll set up a meeting and we'll
Yeah.
talk about it. And I already had my design and everything. And then you send me some proofs and we talked some more. And it was just you was just like I loved working with you. Like it was
Oh, thank you.
such like I loved working with you. If I have another pen idea, I would definitely come to you, even refills. Like I
I
would
appreciate that.
come come work, not work for you, but come.
You can work for me too. I'm trying to expand, Melissa. But I really appreciate that. I feel like pins are visual communicators and they can be very personal. So for you doing it for your podcast, you had your idea, you had your logo, which was great, but I also wanted to show you different ways that your pins could have been expressed. So I'm happy that you were also open to that. And then other people who I work for as well, create pins for, they don't have an idea of a logo or what they'd like to say or what they like other people to feel when they wear their pins. And so we have these discussions about the intrinsic part of the pin. Like I'm a designer. I can design anything for you at the end of the day, but I want to understand what is it you'd like the person who wears your pin to feel about themselves, about their message, where they're going, who they are as a designer or an architect. What is that characteristic that they don't necessarily verbalize, but when they walk into a room, they want everyone to know, okay, this is me,
Mhm.
right? By whatever they're wearing. And so having those warm and open conversations, I feel like as part of the consultancy is really important. It's not just a pin, it's a part of you. It's an extension, it's an accessory, and it's an important one.
Where did you get your entrepreneurship from? Because I know for me, it took a long time.
Hmm.
The whole point of graduating and becoming an architect is to be a sole proprietor, is to,
Hmm.
I feel like it's been training you bad in some business parts. They're like, no, that's what you have to,
Yeah,
you got your MBA, right? Like you went
I
back.
do.
Yeah.
Many people don't know I have an MBA. I don't know. Many architects don't have one. I don't know why not. But
It's important though. You've learned so much from going back to school and getting that MBA, and I have no clue. But it just feels like it's just set up for you to run your own firm, even though they don't teach you that at all. But
yeah, I mean, I will say though that an MBA, you can have a successful business without an MBA. And so I decided to go back to school for an MBA. I went to Northeastern because I wanted to be more of a strategic thinker. That's primarily why I got my MBA. At
hmm,
AICOM, many of the men that I admired who were VPs and leading like regional entities there, they all said to me that, yes, you need a design and a technical background to know the craft, but you also need to be a really great strategic thinker in order to lead companies, right? And so it was actually through my experience at AICOM that encouraged me to get an MBA. Because one day I would love to lead an entity, but that's a secret desire of mine. But in terms of being an entrepreneur, I wouldn't say that I grew up with that ambition at all. I did have a freelance graphic consulting company on the low again for a few years, but it's always been a way for me to express certain aspects of my personality or ambitions that I can't necessarily express while working for someone else. And right now, I don't necessarily want to, like, there's this CEO who I admire. This is a weird pivot, not weird, but it's a CEO of Mess in a Bottle. Do you know her?
Yes, it's not Kalia.
I think it's, oh my God,
It's
we're
okay. I
forgetting
know
her
exactly because
name.
she's in Baltimore, so she's
She's
not.
in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yes, she's an architect. She left her six-figure job and she's leading her t-shirt company, Mess in the Bottle. I admire her so much. Not saying that I want to leave my job and do architect pins full time, but it's that way of thinking of knowing that you have a message to share. That's the entrepreneurial spirit for me. I feel like all the technical things like taxes, bootstrapping, marketing, etc., those things I'm still kind of learning, but those things I can learn. But then having the zeal or having this burning fire in you to do something greater than yourself. It could be pins, it could be, I don't know, buildings, it could be trucks, it could be whatever it is, small or large. But that's the spirit. It's, I want to share this with people. That's really what it is. And I'm, and I admire her. Actually, I've been following her for a long time.
Yeah, me
Watching
too.
her trajectory. Like, she's just so inspiring to me. I wish I could meet her one day.
Me too. Like, I don't know. Her storefront is actually not that. I don't want to say, I mean, I can drive to it, put it that way. So I just feel like all I gotta do is just Google it. And in looking at her Instagram post, I think I know where it is.
Yeah.
But
Oh my God, we should go and do a drive-by. Not a drive-by in that sense, but like, a drive-by stop and meet and greet. Oh my
a
God,
little
she's so
stalkerish.
inspiring.
I followed you ever since you
I'm
were.
I'm a little stalker. I stalk people on LinkedIn. I'm not gonna be shy about it. I do.
I do that. Yeah, I do that too. I stalk
You,
people. I
you have to.
Yeah, you
Like,
have
that's what it's for.
That's
Oh my God, this has been great. I do have Abōd. That's where I promote BIPOC designers, primarily on Instagram right now. And it's a different take on promotion of BIPOC designers. I really wanted them to share their inspirations within architecture and design, not necessarily what they've done or where they are. There are other very successful platforms for that. But a characteristic that's really important to me is Black joy and allowing other people to experience our Black joy. And part of that is futurism, it's imagination, and it's sharing the things that inspire you to be the creative that you are. And so that's why I created Abōd, the Instagram account. And I hope to continue that for the next few years.
So where can they purchase your Archie pens?
So you can purchase Architect Pins at www.architectpin.com. Follow us on Instagram as well, the same tag name. And if you have an idea for a pin or you just want to talk about the process, send me a note. It's called a pin query. I'd be happy to chat with you. And I hope that you join me on this journey.
Great. Thank you so much, Ellen. This has been fabulous.
Thank you, Melissa. I am like so inspired now. Now I'm going to reach out to the CEO of Mess in the Bottle. This gives me a little bit of confidence.
Oh, see? Do you follow her? She also has a clubhouse. Have you been to her clubhouse?
I don't know if I like Clubhouse. I'm just trying to get good on Instagram. And now there's this other thing. I don't know.
Clubhouse, I don't know either, because Clubhouse is like, I love it.
Oh, you do?
It's a great, background. But sometimes the conversations be lasting for 2 or 3 days, and I don't have time for that. Like,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
it's crazy. We
That's
start an hour, 4 hours later, people are still talking. And
people have that much time?
that's the thing.
Where they go all this time at?
I cannot host a clubhouse. Like I was talking to someone about it, and I was like, only way I can host is if you have like 5 other people, and I need to be able to hop on and hop off. Like,
yeah. Wow.
I don't have that time. I honestly don't have
Nobody should have that time. I do have a question though in terms of intellectual property. So when you host a clubhouse, all that verbal information and gold, who owns it?
Well, the thing is, they don't allow you to record. You cannot record on Clubhouse.
Interesting.
If you try to hit the record button on your phone, you will get an immediate warning. They're like, you're not allowed to do it. But as a podcaster, there's a lot of talk about ways to record it. You really want to record it. If you host a room, there are ways that you have rules and guidelines. And depending on the host, you can say you are allowed to record, you are not allowed to record, stuff like that. Or this is being recorded or something. Yeah. People have done that too. But you are 1,000% correct, because they say some things and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, people pay thousands of dollars getting this information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the flip side too, a lot of people are doing misinformation. It's an infomercial. Yeah. Like, so they tailor it that you think you're getting one thing, and it's like, buy my product, buy my course.
That's not good.
So.
Oh, wow.
It's interesting. No idea what the trajectory of this thing.
I'll wait. I'm a late adopter. I'm just trying to get used to Instagram's, like, what they call it, the algorithms. I can't even stay ahead of those, much less for new social media platforms. So
I mean, I don't do Facebook anymore.
I don't either.
It's
although my Dominican friends and family are on there. So that's why I keep up the account, but I don't really do Facebook.
Yeah. WhatsApp, I still do, because that's the only way I get to talk to my family.
Love WhatsApp. Where's your family from?
Trinidad.
Ooh, I go to Trinidad a lot.
Why do you go to Trinidad?
Because I love Trinidad, girl. What do you mean? I love Trinidad. One of my besties is there, Nikisha Powder. She's an architect too. She just did her first mansion. I'm so proud of her. If I do want to work in the Caribbean, and I would work in Trinidad, Barbados, home, of course, because we have a lot of opportunity there. But yeah, I go to Trinidad a lot. 2 years ago, sadly. So I was supposed to go home last year, and then the pandemic hit. Would love to go home this year, but my parents are like, I don't know, they're in their 60s, and I don't want to accidentally bring anything to them. So hopefully I can go home this year, but I miss home. It's tough not going home.
It is tough.
Don't make me cry.
No carnival this year. That was really, really hard. I'm watching.
Nobody has carnival. Nobody has Calypso either. I wonder if they had Calypso shows. I'm not too sure. And they did.
Well, I mean, so I was watching. They usually have the whole Soca Monarch thing, and they did it behind a green screen, and they just showed reruns of past ones. That's but sad. They announced it.
Yeah.
I didn't care for any of the Soca songs this year. I just didn't.
I didn't even hear them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know nothing really popped up on my radar to be like, okay, this is a hit.
Right.
To be honest. Soca and Calypso, actually. I think people are just, everyone's a little mentally burnt out, honestly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the Caribbean, we're still here, resilient and strong.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Ellen, for talking to me and sharing. And
it was my pleasure. This was fantastic.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye. Hey, listeners. I have an exciting announcement. I decided to launch a membership program for the show, where you have a chance to support me and the show directly. I love creating the show, and it means the world to me that you all tune in to keep hearing me week after week. but it takes an immense amount of time and energy to produce. I want to keep the show going, and I want to invest in its growth. And I also want you to become a partner with me in this journey. That's why I'm excited to give you a chance to officially become a supporter of the show at glow.fm/archispolly, ARCHISPOLLY, or by clicking the link in the show notes. It's quick and easy. It takes less than 30 seconds and just takes clicking a link in the show notes and using Apple or Google Pay. You don't have to create any new logins, and you can contribute as much or as little as you like. If this show is part of your day or week and you like what I'm doing, then visit glow.fm/archispolly, all one word, and support me and the show in any way you can today.